Hey, community, this is Dr. Hugh coming at you. And if you're suffering with chronic illness, mystery chronic diseases that no doctor has been able to find out or help you, this lecture is for you. And why is that? Because what we're going over here is what is your body's toxic load. I've been doing helping people now for a long time, 26 years, and this is a really critical part that's been missing. And this is your body's toxic load. We're going to be talking about molds, heavy metals, and environmental pollutants. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a very specific case here so you can actually see for yourself what this looks like, how people get better. But if you have a mystery disease, you're going to want to get this test done, because what I find clinically is when I work with clients and if they don't get better within 4 to 6 weeks, I know for sure that there's some underlying metabolic problem that's still happening in their body that's not allowing them to get well. And generally this is molds in your body, molds, heavy metals, or environmental pollutants. So the test I'm going to be going over right now is through Vibrant Wellness. Now, this is what they call the assessing the toxic load burden. This is a urine sample. And what this actually does is this is a first morning void. Now, what this test checks is it's going to check for basically 46 different environmental burdens. It's going to check for 20 heavy metals, 29 molds, mycotoxins, and it's going to check for 38 environmental pollutants. Now, why is this so critical? Because if you have these pollutions, these environmental pollutants in your body, you are going to be sick, and the conventional system is not set up for you to get better. If you have these environmental pollutants, you are basically going to be on your own. No one is going to be there to help you. This is why this is so critical. I'm going to go over a case of basically a 55-year-old female that her life was basically transformed from this test and doing a very specific functional medicine program. And she went to the doctors and they had to rule out bone cancer and they don't know what's going on, the typical things that you've heard over and over and over. Now, one thing with this test is this is actually a urine sample. Now, why is this so important? Is because urine, these pollutants, when I say pollutants, I'm going to be referring to the three things: mold, heavy metals, and environmental pollutants like toxins. They are highly concentrated in your urine. Why? Because these pollutants are in your organs, they're floating around in your gut, and then they get into your blood, and then your kidneys filters this out, right? So your kidneys are really sifting through all the blood, and in the urine, this is where you're going to find these pollutants is in the urine. In fact, in the urine, they're going to be anywhere between 1,000 and 1,000 times higher in the urine than in blood. So this is the test that you want to get. Here's Vibrant Wellness Center right here, and the test is called the Total Tox Burden. So what I want to do, I want to go over this case. Now, this is a person that was hated life, right? If you're out there and you're suffering from chronic illness and you've gone to doctor, they say it's in your head, here's some antidepressant medication, and we don't know what to do, then you need this test. You need to reach out to me and get some help, man, because you don't need to suffer. Just like this gal didn't need to suffer. Now, we ran this test, and this is going to be here on June 16th, 2025. And we have a 55-year-old female. Now I'm just going to kind of orient you to what you're seeing. So up in here, you're going to see mycotoxins. What's a mycotoxin? That's a mold. You're going to have heavy metals. That's exactly what it says, heavy metals. And then in here, it's going to be environmental toxins. Now, how this works here is when you get this report back, you're going to see things that are in red. So you can see everything in here. This is all red, right? This is all red. And then there's a category for green. So how this works here is red is severely high, right? And then the yellow is kind of like, it's not good, right? You don't want to have yellows or reds. You want to be in green. That's what we're looking for, in green. Now, this test, remember, is checking 86 different total pollutants. Now, when we got this back, I told her this looks like a Christmas tree. Look at all this stuff that's in red. Red, 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 red. You see all these things right here are all in red. In fact, she had 15 markers that were in red. Now, if you look up in here, what you're going to see is you're going to see this right here is that little symbol represents mold. So let's just go over the molds. She has 1 mold, 2 mold, 3 molds, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 molds that are in the extreme range. So imagine this, if this is your body, if you have 11 molds that just aren't mildly elevated but are pin the needle, are you going to be healthy or sick? You are going to be sick. And in the conventional system, they don't even do this test. They don't even know how to treat it. They have no idea. In fact, she told her medical doctor that she was doing this, and they completely what? Blew her off, right? So if you've been blown off, schedule a call, schedule a Zoom call, because you don't need to be blown off. I can listen to you. And people can get well. They just need the exact path and how they can go about doing this. Okay. So here we have all these reds here. So 15, I told her this is like a Christmas tree, right? This is June 16th of 2025, the total toxic burden. And you can see this picture right here. This is all the stuff that's happening in your body. Then we did some standard labs. Now the standard labs right here, you're going to look at this right here. And this is C-reactive protein. This is an inflammatory marker. And these pre and post labs were done around the same time. So this is the post labs here. I'll be showing you this in a second. So this is October 10th. And then the first labs that we took were basically June 16th. So we're talking roughly just, let's just say for simplicity, we're talking 4 months. So 4 month transition, pre and post labs. So we did initial labs right here, and her CRP was 18, massively high. Her CRP still was 10, right? So after 4 months, her CRP went from 18 to 10. Good, but we still want to work on it. There's always things to work on. Now check out this. This is the white blood cell. You see this is 2.5. You see the range, or 2.4. You see the range right here? The range is 3.4 to 10.8. And anytime I get a lab back and you see those red, it's in red, that means that it is very, very dangerous. So the conventional system, she's had white blood cell count low forever, right? So she goes to hematologist, got to rule out bone cancer and all these cancerous, scary diseases. But what they never looked at is they never looked at the total toxic burden in her body. Now, guess where molds, heavy metals, and environmental pollutants live? In your bone marrow. Now, what's your bone marrow? That's where your immune system is. That's where your white blood cells are actually born, is actually in your immune system. So pre and post was 2.4. Then we increased that to 2.7. Hey, it's going up. That's great. Hemoglobin is 5.8, right? So that's pre-diabetic. So she's pre-diabetic. And then we got it down to 5.5. 4 months later, she's lost 30 pounds. I just talked to her today. She hasn't had any Advil for 2 weeks, and she was pounding Advil like it was candy. So these are the things that are possible. Now, this is the most exciting thing that I want to show you right here. So remember, when she first came in, all these reds right here, right? So she had 15 reds, right? All these things here are red, red, red. So all these right here were in total 15, right? Then we checked basically 4 months later, and what is she down to? She's down to 4 reds. So what do you think her quality of life is, going from 15 burdens to 5? She's like a new woman, like she's a grandma. She can go out and walk. She can go out and do things on the farm. She can go out and do the things God designed us to do. That was the transformation. The transformation, when my clients come to me, I want them to be well. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to go and do the things, exercise, enjoy your kids, enjoy your spouse, go on vacation, golf, do the things that you deserve. That's when clients come to me. That's what I give them, is a transformation when it comes to their health. So let's just go over this again, because this is pretty crazy. 15, all high. 4 months later, we're down to 5, right? So what are we doing right here? We're cleaning up her environment, right? This is what it was right here, and now this is clean. And when you clean the environment up, the God-given healing ability, you just get better. Things start to function better. All these molds, heavy metals, and environmental pollutants gum things up. The mitochondria doesn't work. The bone marrow doesn't work, right? Your digestive system doesn't work. All these things do not work and you get sick. Now I'm just going to show you some of these tests here. So this is aflatoxin. You can see that like aflatoxin right in there. So initially it was, and I'm just going to show you this, it was 11.6, and then we got it down to 7.63. That's a 31% reduction in this type of mold. 31% reduction in this type of mold. And I put this right here. What does this do? Associated risk. So you can go back and look at this. Associated risk. So it's aflatoxin G2 binds to DNA and can lead to DNA alterations. It's primarily implicated in hepatic disease problems. So this is a liver problem. So this can cause liver disease problems, right? This is critical. She knows this. We're getting it handled. She's getting better. Next test, a 49% reduction, aflatoxin M1. It's a human carcinogenic. This causes cancer. 49% reduction. Went from 8.39 down to 4.33, all in 4 months. Here's another mold, went from 34.52 to 29.9. That is a 17% reduction, massive, potentially affecting multiple organ systems upon exposure. That does not sound good. Here's citrinin. Here's a 27% reduction, went from 14.28 down to 11.62. What is this right here? This says citrinin poses significant health risks upon ingestion. Bad news bears. Here's one that's 64% reduction. Fumonisin, this went down to 11.62, down to 4.5. This is a 64% reduction, a 64% reduction in this mold. She's doing better. She's living the way God designed us to live, which is healthy. And what does this cause? Leukopenia. That is a fancy word for saying what? Low white blood cell count. In fact, there's a lot of these in here that say leukopenia, which is low white blood cell count. So what do we do? So it's low white blood cell count and what? Bone marrow suppression. When you get these chemicals, they hide in the bones. See, this is a problem. And when people start to get older, especially women, this is a very critical point. When women get older, if they start to have osteoporosis, they start to lose the bone, all those chemicals are in the bones. So if you go through osteopenia, which is the beginning stages, those chemicals, molds, and heavy metals get pushed out in your system, and then you get sicker and sicker and sicker. So this is really, really critical. Here's one, a 53% reduction right in here. Ochratoxin A, bam, went from 8.91 down to 4.13. Here's a 70% reduction. 70. Went from 32 to basically 9.65. Again, what does this do? This is fumonisin B3, bunch of names, right? Leukopenia, low white blood cell, and bone marrow suppression. Boom. What did we find here? We found a woman that is suffering that now is getting better. Work with the laws of Mother Nature, not against. You can get better. You can have a transformation. You can get well. You don't need to continue to suffer. Here's a gliotoxin, a 28% reduction. 28% reduction. Went from 174 down to 126. And this is immune suppression. So when you have these chemicals, you get sicker and sicker and sicker. Why? It's immune suppression. It's a bone marrow suppression, right? It affects your gut. It causes chronic systemic inflammation in your entire body. Here's a 30% reduction. We went down from, we started at 6.46 to 4.50. What do we have? Dysfunction of the individual immune system, dysregulation of the immune system, checkpoints leading to uncontrolled proliferation of cancer. So these things actually have been linked to actual increased incidence of cancer. 48% reduction. This is just abbreviated the DON, right? This big long word is abbreviated the DON. Was 135 down to 70, 48% reduction. This can cause, the DON can include immunosuppression, suppression, anemia, right? Bad news bears. Barium, metal, a 55% reduction, went from 7.43 to 3.35. Metals, heavy metals, are not very good. They do the same thing as molds in your body. Uranium, we're talking atomic bomb stuff here, right? Uranium, this is insane, an 85% reduction. Uranium may cause impact DNA and cause chromosomal abnormalities. Not good, okay? That's cancer. Nickel, a 50% reduction when it comes to nickel. We were at 16.11. Now we're down to 8.01 nickel. And these are volatile organic compounds. This would be like breathing gas. This checks for gas fumes, a variety of different gas fumes. If you are exposed to like grease as a mechanic, it checks these things. It's a very, very in-depth check. So this is a 29% reduction in N-acetylcysteine, which is abbreviated NACE. Okay, so this test is very critical for people that have chronic illness. And in fact, I find lots of my clients that have chronic illness have these things floating around in their body. So when you look at this test here, we're checking for 86 different total environmental burdens. So what you want to look at here is the more you have, the more burden is on your body. And that's the more burden on your immune system. It's more burden on your mitochondria. It's more burden on your liver, your pancreas, your brain. This is what these toxins cause. Now, there's a lot more involved in this testing. I'm not going to go over any protocols because this video would be just too long. But if you're suffering, reach out, schedule a Zoom call. I help people all over the world, all over the United States get better. And these are individualized, custom tailored programs for your needs. I'm not going to tell you you're crazy. I'm not going to tell you I don't believe you. I'm not going to tell you here's some antidepressant medication. We're actually going to get to the root cause of the problem and get you well the way God designed you to be. Remember this, is where there's help, there's hope. Take care. This is Dr. Hugh.